These criminals are also known as the deep state, or cabal, because of how they control things behind the scenes. Every president after Reagan was one of these deep state criminals.
Do you know someone who believes that the world is being controlled by the deep state? Or how about that the pandemic was planned to take our freedoms away? Or any of the dozens of conspiracy theories floating around the internet? Well, for me, that's my dad. For the past 2.5 years, he's been sucked into a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories through YouTube. And he's not alone. According to the Pew Research Center, 1/3 of Americans believe that the pandemic was planned. But why? And how do I help my dad? Speaking to him, well, it's frustrating because I can't help arguing with him. So instead, I decided to speak to someone who wasn't my family member. Her name is Paige, and she didn't want to show her face because she was worried of what people might think of her.
I started noticing just some things in the world, and I just wanted to understand why things weren't just, and I just felt a sense of angst about that. I remember talking on the phone with my grandma about this, and her husband just said 9/11 is an inside job. That really brought me down a rabbit hole because they were people that I definitely trusted.
Like many of us, Paige felt isolated. She was disillusioned with the world, and conspiracy theories gave her answers.
I would see things on YouTube like the cell phone towers are affecting people, the Illuminati symbolism in Disney, and then came up like chemtrails, Pizzagate, the Hillary Clinton emails, and I might spend an entire day looking this stuff up, and that's all that felt validating and accepting.
What she saw on YouTube was no accident. YouTube's algorithm was designed to keep her on the platform. To do that, YouTube showed her more and more conspiracy theory videos. And slowly, this turned into paranoia.
There's mobbing, and that's when people surround you in public. And then I found out about whisper campaigns. People just come against you and like whisper or laugh at you. Just people were out to get me.
So we are hardwired to pay attention to those things that are mysterious, scary, shocking. And then also, if we see that more and more and more frequently, we are more likely to believe it's true or that it's a danger.
This is why YouTube algorithms are so effective at convincing people of conspiracy theories. In response, there's been a lot of public pressure on YouTube to do better.
YouTube, has been receptive to the research coming out from the academic community and has taken that to try to improve their recommender systems.
Oh, that isn't all YouTube is doing.
YouTube has demonetized almost 90% of my videos.
They actually are deleting videos.
The entire channel has been removed.
This is the last Channel Zero video that will be going on YouTube.
YouTube took action, and a lot of creators left, so problem solved, right?
So we're making our own secondary internet.
We are going to be on Rumble,
Odyssey,
BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey.
With millions of users, these fringe websites have become the new hub for disinformation and conspiracy theories.
If we do not also put in place appropriate oversight over these smaller players, it's just going to make the problem worse.
But regulating content, it's tricky.
And that is because we have the First Amendment, which protects speech. So as soon as we have government legislation or regulation coming in and saying that platforms have to mitigate X content, you now have a law that is unconstitutional on its face because it is now restricting protected speech. So what can we do?
We can make laws to create friction. Friction is anything that puts some distance between the viewer and the content they are watching.
So for example, if anybody watching this is a Twitter user, you might have seen that when you go to share an article or reshare an article, a pop-up window comes up and says, hey, do you want to read this article first before sharing? That's an example of friction.
But how do we do that with videos? John Rusenbeek, a researcher from Cambridge University, has some ideas.
I work on why people believe things that aren't true and what to do about it. We created 5 short videos which help you recognize common manipulation techniques that you might encounter online.
Here's the video they created to warn people against emotional manipulation.
See, when watching videos or browsing online, you are likely to encounter content that is loaded with emotional language and with good reason. Playing into emotions, especially negative ones, such as fear, anger, or contempt, is a trick to get you to pay attention to something when you otherwise wouldn't.
Turns out these videos work. They help people identify when they're being manipulated.
The idea is very simply, if you preemptively debunk against this kind of manipulation technique, that they become less vulnerable to any content that they might see that makes use of this particular manipulation technique.
So the strategy isn't to debunk after, but to pre-bunk and make people resilient to manipulation in the first place.
I think it's a really promising method, and I think we're realizing right now that we need to do more of these experimental designs, and we need to come up with more of these friction ideas.
But what if it's too late for pre-bunking, like with my dad or Paige, who are already in the rabbit hole?
There's a guy that I met. He felt he was being targeted online. So I felt a sense of being understood. And when we talked, he brought up things like how certain videos wouldn't make sense. And it really helped to realize that you can have like 2 seemingly opposing views, but then they don't cancel each other out necessarily. We talked for like an entire year, and that really slowly kind of deprogrammed me.
Paige believed in conspiracy theories for a decade. So although a year to get deprogrammed might seem like a long time, that means there's hope for me and my dad.
When I would see people refuting anything that I would say, it would make me stick even closer to the people that were on my side. When people are believing these conspiracy theories, it's because something has gone on that they feel attacked by, like their entire life, or they feel left out. So empathy is really what they're looking for, and you don't want them to find that in a dark place.
Does that mean empathy alone can deprogram my dad? Probably not. But I've been texting him every day and trying to understand where he's coming from. Do I still argue with him? Definitely. Will this work? I don't know, but if it might slowly pull him away from paranoia, it's worth a shot.